the man that I am pleased to induct into the Hall of Fame, played a critical role in what Bones told you was the golden era of modified racing. But it's not just modified racing that he had an abiding passion for. He had an abiding passion for anything that had four wheels. Frank Ferrara started his career like many of us. If it wasn't Plainville Stadium, it was Riverside Park, correct? In southern New England. Well, you saw on the sides of race cars, and he owned some race cars and Ferrara Spring and Auto Parts. But that was an era where Frank kind of was in the fishbowl with the rest of us. But when my dad was pursuing his passion to purchase the Stafford Motor Speedway, Frank had moved on to the Northeastern Midget Association. And I can remember as a young man watching this flagman, along with greats like Earl Grant, entertaining the crowd, and it was always those midget flagmen that had a set of couillons, man, because they weren't afraid and they were very classic with the way they did it. And that was my first opportunity to work side by side with Frank Ferrara. But the story that most people don't realize is we talk about the Ferrara 100 and the extra distance event that it was, but many of you have given my father credit for things that he doesn't deserve credit for. And the owner-driver's point fund is one that he must share credit with one Frank Ferrara for. You see, at that time, the drivers received all of the glory and all of the honors, and oh yeah, I got paid in cash. And then the owner would wait around, and hopefully he'd be right there between the beer stand and the payoff window to get that money and be able to distribute it. But at the end of the year, the owner was the one that had to get the car ready to be campaigned the following season, and the driver just had to see if he could con somebody out of a brand new helmet. And Frank and my dad, over one too many scotches one evening, decided that the best thing that could take care of the future of modified racing was creating something called an owner-driver point fund. Yes, it was Frank Ferrara and my father in concert that then lobbied NASCAR because it was against NASCAR rules to distribute any monies to owners. And the owner-driver point fund got its first boot in the rear end by Frank Ferrara in the Ferrara 100. And from there, in the golden era, car owners like Dick Armstrong, car owners like Bobby Judkins, car owners like Joe Brady, at the end of the season's ending banquet, received even more than the individual drivers did, as they deserved. Now, the next iteration of Frank Ferrara is one that has always confounded me. You would think as a sponsor, and he was probably the first man that I knew that understood what Napa stood for and brought Napa into auto racing, he decided, when most of us want to slow down, that he and his partners were going to build a dirt track in Westfield, Massachusetts, at the end of a runway. Now, Frank Ferrara and his family had been campaigning mini sprints because of his love affair with open cockpit racing. And all of a sudden he decided, geez, maybe I ought to be a track operator. He quickly became more than just a track operator. And for those of us that have enjoyed the experience at the Whip City Speedway, racing every Saturday night, we came to enjoy Frank Ferrara's presence. But I want to share with you a story that occurred there one night. You know, Frank's getting a little on in age, right? And he has a quad, and as only Frank Ferrara could have, he had to have one that was souped up. And Frank got all excited one night because those of us that suffered what my father used to refer to as helmet acylitis, that's when you put your helmet on and all original thought and all sanity ceases. We decided to dice it up down in turns 3 and 4, and the track is all crossed over. Frank forgets that there's a 3-foot berm separating the infield from the racetrack. And wide open in his quad, he looked like Evel Knievel as he raced to the scene of the accident. But at the end of it, we all knew that Frank Ferrara had an abiding passion for something that had consumed him since he was a youngster. If you have a passion for something, you also have a commitment. Junior Johnson once told me the difference between being involved and being committed. When you sit down to breakfast and it's bacon and eggs, the chicken was involved, the pig was committed. Frank Ferrara has been committed to the world of motorsports, specifically here in the New England area, since a very young age. I am humbled and I am honored, number one, to consider Frank Ferrara like a second father. But more importantly, on this very special occasion, I am deeply honored to introduce to you the newest member of the Near Racing Hall of Fame, Mr. Frank Ferrara.
For those who can't see it, it's a trophy. It reads, if I can see it, S12, won by Sweet Anderson, Riverside Park, June 3rd, 1951. Owner, Frank Ferrara. This was a 75 lapper. This is when Harvey was really throwing his money around. The S12 has a meaning. My grandfather started a business, a blacksmith shop, in 1912. And in 2012, we're going to be in business 100 years. Thank you. I know quite a few of you have been to Whip City, but those of you who haven't, just give you a little rundown on what we do. In the afternoon, we run several divisions of go-karts on a small track, and we start the youngsters off at 8 years old. On the big track, we run two-stroke go-karts. They're faster. We have a youth sprint division. These are kids coming out of quarter midgets, I guess 12 to 16, just to give them a stepping stone into another class. And we have a four-cylinder stock division. This is a four-cylinder cars. They're stock, and they have all the safety equipment. At night, we have 6 divisions of mini sprints. We have a modified light division. These are dirt modified bodies on them. We have a quad 4. Quad 4s are midgets with 4-cylinder Oldsmobile engines in them. They don't run wings, and this is a growing division. You can check with Skip Mazik on that one. He built a car last year, and he's building another one for next year. We also have a 2-seater car. We give rides, and that's very good. It's been working out fine. People love to get in it and take a ride. I have a home in Edgewater, Florida. It's right next to New Smyrna Beach, and we have quite a few old-timers down here. Bob Juckins is just down the road. Bob built a good-sized garage in his backyard, and that's our hangout. Bugsy's just down below Bobby. Man, we're blessed. I told Bugsy I'd buy him an oceanfront condo in Miami if he'd move down here. He says, no, I think I'll stick around and aggravate everybody. They have John McCarthy, Don Matarosian, Leo Clary, Bob Summers, George Summers, Gene Bergen. He's up the road a little ways. We don't see him that often, but once in a while. Skip Madzik. Ron Bouchard comes up on special occasions. Golf. Billy Harmon, Eddie and Ellen Crusoe, Greg Narducci, John and Pat Norman, Earl Grant, Jim Winks, Jerry Dostey, and Bill Simmons. Now, we don't see each other all the time, but when we get together, it's a good time. We enjoy it. We're talking old times over. This is going to be short. I'm going to introduce some people to you. First of all, my family, my 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, and 5 grandchildren, and I have a son in California with a grandchild. Daughters over here, and my grandsons are over here, and granddaughter. My good friends for over 40 years, and my partners at Whip City Speedway, Lois and Dave Paghetti. We have a girl working at our racetrack. She started out selling billboards, and she did everything she could to help build the racetrack. She runs our banquet. She fills in on Saturday nights when people are out, except for starting, and she says, I can do a better job than she can. Her name is Pat Norman. We have a gentleman with us tonight. He's also started out with us day one, building a track. He started out on heavy equipment. He can fix just about anything. He spent countless hours at the racetrack. He retired last year, but he's with us today. His name is Harry Wood. Everybody calls him Uncle Harry. Jackie, thank you again. You did a fine job. And I want to thank, oh, wait, one more. Wow. Boy, the most important one. 2 years ago, I went to a singles dance. And, oh, boy. And I met a lovely lady. And we have a little communication problems. We're together, just the two of us. You keep saying, y'all. And I turn around and see if somebody else is there, but nobody's ever there. Anyway, she came up for the special occasion. Her name is Jane Wilkins. Jackie, thank you very much for introducing me, and thank you all for this honor.
Y'all. Can I get you as your art?